Welcome to That's Life. I'm your host, Marcia Boyles, and as always, I'm delighted to introduce my co-producer, Kathleen Taylor, who is our social work manager here at Green Spring. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you. This is our 1-year anniversary, which is a real landmark for this program.
It is, and it's a real shock.
A shock that we've lasted a year.
No, not that we've lasted a year, that it's been a year. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's been a year.
It does not. So this is our 12th episode. We missed one in the past year, but this is our 12th. Kathleen, I thought we might want to start today by just giving a very quick recap of the reasons we started this program.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, we initially started wanting to be able to give our residents a picture of what social work does on campus, the kinds of problems that they might want to bring to a social worker. But more than that, I think we really wanted to tell some stories and give people a sense of the relationships that are built between the residents and the social workers. So when you and I were talking, we just started to really hone in on how to tell those stories. And we didn't want to be just talking about it, we wanted to show. So that's when we got into the idea of doing the role plays. So, and I think it's been a fabulous success from that standpoint.
Well, I think, yes, and I think a couple of things have happened. As you're indicating, we wanted to demonstrate how social workers were going to deal with our issues, but we also wanted to present the issues themselves. And it became a dual purpose,
exactly.
Which we hadn't really conceived of, I think, early on. And the role players have been incredible.
Oh my goodness.
They have just been amazing.
Right, right.
So much so, as we've said, that folks often believe that these are the actual stories they're telling. So again, we should stress that these are not real.
Yeah. But actually, the characters are real to me in a way,
Yes.
They have developed so nicely, and they have become persons in their own right. So
they have,
yeah.
And I think to the role-playing folks themselves, these have become real characters. We might want to also mention the 4 that we started with. We have expanded since then, but the 4 that we began with were Kay Cumby playing Pansy, and Kay Brown, who was playing Miss Kitty Sue Lee, Jenny King playing Cecilia, and Vince Angier playing Homer. We have stuck with all 4 of those most of the way. Miss Kitty Sue has stopped, at least for the moment, but the other 3 are going on, and we have added characters since then.
Yep, and they've evolved. So when they came in with a particular problem, we've sort of seen movement in terms of the progression of a person's life, So that has been
yes,
good
they
too.
certainly have evolved in quite dramatic ways. In some cases, quite unexpected ways. Yeah, that's been the fun part of it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Developing these storylines.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think, Kathleen, with that, we will stop now and talk a little bit about the vignettes that we're having today. We have 3 vignettes, and do you want to tell us? We're starting out with Jeff Stone, who will be talking to
Sue Frankie.
Sue Frankie.
Right. And that's going to be a follow-up to the conversation that he had with her last time about his son having concerns about his ability to drive. And we had made some recommendations about having a Viva test. So I think that this
I think he's bringing in his results.
Yes, I think that's right. So Sue will go over that with them, and we don't know what the results were. So it will be
wait and see.
Wait and see.
All right. Well, then we're switching to a character who has not been on our show before, played by Caroline Boubin. And she's playing a character called Mrs. Blackwell, who is a newcomer. And the truth is that Caroline is indeed a newcomer herself. So she will play this quite realistically, I suspect. Our third character, then, is we're going back to Pansy. And do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Well, Pansy is like my favorite because I never know what she's going to do. She always keeps me on my toes or my heels,
or something,
one or the other. But so she did, make an appointment to come in. So,
don't know what she's going to say.
I know it'll be interesting. That's all I know.
Yes, something offbeat. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we'll stop then and start with these vignettes.
Hello, I'm Jeff Stone. I'm here today for a follow-up visit with my social worker, Sue Franke. Today we're going to discuss a recent Viva assessment.
Good morning, Mr. Stone, and thank you for coming to see me today. I greatly appreciate it. You had said on the phone that you had completed the Viva driving assessment.
That's right, yes. It's the second time I've done it.
Second time? And when was the first time that you had done it?
Oh, God, 6 years ago.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what you found out in this assessment.
Well, originally I had a problem with head and neck flexibility, and that was the only problem. But now on this latest test, they're marking me off on visual search, having to do with scanning a scene when I'm driving, and also visual information processing. Now, I think both of these are really kind of judgment calls, and so even though they've marked me down on a few items, I really think that I'm the best judge of whether I can drive or not. So I'm wondering why we're continuing in this vein.
After you finished the driving assessment, what did Lisa Borum, who is the facilitator, what did she recommend to you after you completed it?
Well, it says right on the front of the Viva assessment to bring this to your primary care physician. And I haven't done that because I really don't think it's necessary. I don't think there's any physical problems.
And before you started the assessment, I know Lisa had talked with you a little bit about what it was going to show you, that there are 7 different categories looking at visual acuity, so how well you see contrast, your leg strength, and just your general mobility, the head-neck flexibility, which we talked about, which is how easily you can turn your head, which is so important in driving, and which becomes more of a challenge for sure. There's the working memory, which really looks at how we judge the traffic rules, and we've been doing those for a long time, so that's not so much of a difficulty. Visualizing missing information, so just the anticipation. But then the 2 that I see that you had the difficulty with this time, that is the change from the last time, is the visual search with divided attention. So it just, it measures when you're driving how quickly you can scan different situations and make judgment calls, such as pedestrians, other cars that might be in places that you're not aware of, and then also how quickly you process that information. And before you started the assessment, which is all done on a computer for the most part, so it's not actually getting into the car, Lisa spoke with you about the fact that she will be sending the information that she got at the screening to the medical center. So she automatically sends the results to your medical chart.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
And that was something that she had said beforehand, and she makes sure that she let you know above board. She also let you know ahead of time that while the results of the assessment are not binding, she can't say you can or can't drive. It shows up certain concerns. And concerns where it has been proven that that people with some deficits, especially the critical deficits, are 5 times more likely to cause a crash with some of these deficits. It doesn't mean you will. And I think that's where some of the concern comes from.
Well, I appreciate the testing, which is done on a computer, and it's not a real life situation. And I've been driving now more than 60 years, and I think I'm a fairly good judge of whether I can drive or not, and whether I'm a safe driver. I think these computer tests are, you know, as I said, they're very judgmental. They're cover a broad scope. They're not focused on an individual. So I'm really very unhappy about this process, and certainly very reluctant to quit driving.
And I know the idea of giving up driving really is very difficult. And it's quite a loss to even think, even consider to give up driving. One of the last things that Lisa probably asked was that you share this information with your son. Just let him know that you took the driving assessment and how it turned out. But she also asked that you follow up with your physician. And really then it's a conversation between you and your doctor as to what the doctor feels might be your the difficulties that you would have in terms of driving, and what her thoughts are with this information that we now have with the driving assessment. Knowing that a physician in our medical center, if they really have critical doubts about somebody driving, there are methods through the Division of Motor Vehicles where they can just put in that concern about driving. So I really think it's something that you should talk to your son about and talk to your physician about.
I think you've laid out some future steps, some more follow-up. You know, I don't think my son is that close to the situation. I mean, he may have heard some things, but I don't really think he's a good judge of whether I can drive or not. But you've outlined several steps, and so rather than reach any conclusion now, I think we can follow up some more. But I'm certainly very unhappy about even considering, you know, not driving.
Yes, and I can tell that it's really something that is very difficult for you to even consider and think about. So if I could ask you for the next step to make an appointment at the medical center and discuss this with your physician, at the very least.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, and thanks for coming in today.
Hi, Mrs. Blackwell.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
Well, thank you for seeing me.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last time we met, which was the first time we met, was when I did a visit right after you moved in.
That's right.
And it's been how long now that you've actually been
2
here?
months.
2 months, okay. So how are things going?
Well, I'm still having some, you know, it is so different to living here than living in your own home. So I'm having some adjustment problems. One of the main issues is eating. I find myself going and getting carry-out. I mean, initially I did just go to the dining room and plonk myself down with total strangers, and sometimes that worked out fine, but sometimes it didn't. So I have gotten into the habit of just going and getting carry-out and bringing it back to my apartment, and that's really not why I came here, and I need to get out of that. Yeah. Also, I'm having a problem getting lost in the hallways. Yes, you're like such an idiot.
So probably the two of them together just kind of conspire to keep you stuck in your apartment.
Yes, it's just adjusting to everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, are there some things you could suggest I do to sort of put myself out there more? Maybe join some things that I would be interested in doing, like bridge or the players group, something like that. Maybe I should make the effort and get involved in those things?
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of groups, as you know, on campus. And you should have gotten the community resources booklet that has all the different activities and groups.
I did.
So
it's actually quite mind-blowing.
It
there's
is.
so much stuff.
I think there's like 250 groups altogether.
I know.
So it's pretty intimidating.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that you have some likes, things that you enjoy doing. You had mentioned maybe bridge. Or,
yes, bridge, and I actually have been to a Pilates class which I really quite enjoyed, surprisingly, because I'm not a big exerciser, but I'm going to become one following I did go to Viva, and I did
good.
get that report.
Wow.
So I am walking a lot more, which I guess is really good for you.
Yes, it's supposed to be.
Yes.
It's easy to do around here, though.
It sure
Because you're
is,
not
yes.
confined by the weather. You can,
That's right.
if it's too hot, you can still walk.
That's
Or
right.
if it's snowing.
As long as you can find your way
As long
back
as
to
you
your
can
own
find your way.
apartment.
Just leave little breadcrumbs, you know.
Yes.
That's how you do it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, you know, you don't have to do everything all at
know.
once. I think I
I
feel
know.
that you're kind of pressing yourself a little bit to just be there already.
Yes, I am. I just feel I should be taking more advantage of this place. It has so much to offer, and so far I haven't really taken advantage of it.
Well, it sounds like you have, actually. I mean, you've started to. You've done a
I've
few
started
things.
to, right.
And I understand.
Oh, and the eating hours. I find those very strange.
Too early?
Oh, for dinner? I think so, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But they've changed that, so that's good.
Yeah,
That's
so,
good.
Yeah, things to adjust to for
Yes,
sure.
yeah.
So I think don't be too hard on yourself. Give yourself be patient with yourself. Give yourself some time to kind of settle in gradually. But you know, some of the things that you were talking about, just in terms of, I think the eating in the dining room is intimidating. I have heard that from so many people, so you're definitely not alone on that. And I know that there is a luncheon group, a new residents luncheon group that meets every Wednesday here at the Woodland Skies dining room at 12 o'clock. And that has had such good success. And over time, it's evolved to have not just new residents, but experienced residents as well, meeting together, so you can kind of be mentored by the people that have been on campus for a while, but then share experiences with the new
So
folks
you
as
can go to
well.
that more than once.
You
I
can
mean,
go
you
to
can
it
just
as many times as you
okay.
want.
So
yeah.
I would be meeting people who maybe feel as I do.
Absolutely, that
Yeah.
you can sort of, share what your
Right.
common experiences might be. And then I think the residents that have been here for a while can kind of help you to sort of see down the road a little bit and go,
Right.
I'm sure they're probably going to be going, yeah, we were there too.
That's right.
But-
They all say it takes a while to adjust. You have to be patient. yes.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
So I think that would be a good start, because what I understand is you can really start to develop some relationships there and make some connections, and then maybe from there you decide to go to dinner with somebody.
Right.
You know, and that
Right.
sort of, just feeds
Yeah.
off of itself. So I think that's a great start. Seems that's worked for lots of our new residents, so I would definitely suggest that.
I will do that.
Yeah. And it's lunch,
Well,
so
what I'm finding, a lot of people I meet here, they've been here a very long time, and they have already sort of made their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They're already sort of set.
right.
And so maybe that's a very good idea, the newcomers' lunch.
Yeah, because they're not.
And I would meet people
Yeah.
who've been here about the same time as I have and
Yeah.
are looking to meet
Absolutely.
new people. Thank you
Yeah,
very much
sure.
for that suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's a great first start. And as far as getting lost, which everybody does for sure, including the staff,
There are always people to ask.
there's always people to ask. And I think that's another way to meet people, right?
That's right. That's
Just
right.
being lost. So, somebody will step up and go, let me show you, and then you'll start chatting, and there's a new friend before you know it. But there also is every Saturday there is a tour, a walking group that does kind of a tour of all of the neighborhoods that's led by a resident that hopefully won't get you lost.
Inside?
Mm-hmm.
Inside?
And I think they go outside too, depending on what the requests are for people
Right.
that are in the group that day. But that's every Saturday. They meet here at Village Square at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't do hills too well. So are you climbing any of the hills when you're on this
I
walk?
think mostly it's inside.
It is inside,
Yeah, because I think that's really
Elevators I can handle.
elevators
Okay.
are good. Yeah, I'm in general. I think it's a lot harder to get around inside. So I think that that's if you learn that, because we always said, I remember when I first got here, I could always pop outside and sort of reconnoiter where I was at.
Right.
But inside, it's a little bit harder sometimes. So I would definitely do the tour group as well, and that's
Okay.
another opportunity to be with people that are just sort of getting involved in the community.
So
too.
it's mainly, again, newcomers who
I'm
go
guess-
on those
I'm
walking
guessing.
tours?
I'm guessing. Every once in
Yeah.
a while, I think it might be somebody who's maybe not been brand new, but
Right.
maybe still is finding themselves
Right.
not able to get around. So I think that those are both examples of how you can come in contact with people that are also new, a little bit new to Green Spring, and having similar experiences to you. And I'm sure you'll be able to find some people that
Well,
you're going to want to
Thank you. That has been
get to
helpful.
know. Good. So just again, it's you're building a new life here,
Yes.
which is very
I am.
exciting and very positive, but also kind of scary. So so that's okay. That's all going to take time. But there are new residents every day that are coming in, and they're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So they'll get you. They'll understand. So let me know how things go.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
I would
yes.
love to hear, what happens after you go to a couple of the luncheons or go on the tour.
Well, maybe in 6 months I'll just be too busy to see you.
I think you
I'm going to
will.
be involved in so many things.
Honestly, you will. If I would try to make an appointment in 6 months, you'll have to look at your calendar and
That's
go, I can
right.
put you in 2 weeks. But that's okay. That would make
Yeah.
me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make me happy too.
Yeah. So anyhow, good luck. It's going to be fine. And let me know how things go.
It's kind of exciting. It's like a new adventure,
It
actually.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So we'll see you around.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Pansy,
Yes, I'm
long time no see.
I know, but you're such a special friend of mine and have helped me so much. I just couldn't wait to come in and tell you my new adventure.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
But you said there was, on the phone you said there was some problems too.
Well, there is, but the adventure is so exciting to me that we're going to have to find a solution to
Okay.
that problem.
Okay.
A-
Well, tell me
after-
what the problem is first.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the fun.
I wanted to find something to help people after my friend Al had to be taken away. And so I have a good friend here named Philomena, and she was Miss Culpeper of 1942. And so we decided to form a group called the Good Fairies, and we would do a tap dance and baton twirling act and take it to visit shut-ins. In fact, if you just don't feel good someday, if you'll call us, we'll come to see you.
Wow.
Yes.
How many people are doing that?
There are just 3 of us.
Oh,
But,
okay.
But because we have to do it in my living room, and we have to move the furniture away, and it makes, scrapes against the wooden floors, but that's all right. And so then we practice there, see, and we're getting pretty good, except, well,
So wait a minute, let me stop you a minute. So you're tap dancing
and baton
and
twirling.
baton twirling and throwing it up in the air.
And you have no idea how hard it is to do 2 different things at our age. It's very difficult. And so we have to practice and practice and practice. And sometimes my friend Nellie, when she throws the baton, she hits Philomena on the head. And Philomena doesn't like that. And you know how these things escalate. And so one's accusing the other, and it's going back and forth. But it's such an exciting thing. And we have these nice outfits with our pearls and just darling little wings that we wear. And so we're just the Good Fairies. And it's so exciting for us. But there's a lady that lives downstairs from me, and she keeps complaining about our practices.
She's complaining about the noise.
I think that's what it is, yeah.
She came and talked to you about it?
She has mentioned it several times on the elevators when lots of people are there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very embarrassing.
Yeah.
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 But
So
it's just so exciting for us.
Sure.
And we want to keep doing this. So I just thought maybe you could speak to the lady downstairs and she could get earplugs or something. And then we could keep practicing. What do you think?
It sounds like it could be pretty noisy, what with the taps and the batons flying around and stuff like that. Perhaps we can find you another place to practice.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
We could even go off campus if Treasure Chest would give us the money to rent a place or something like that.
I'm guessing we could find a place. I mean, they do dance rehearsals in the Hunters Crossing conference room or in the Acatink room.
They do?
Yeah, so I think that might be a direction to go in. So we can I can check out, we can look at having community resources check out rooms for you.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
Because this is like a good, well, you have to tell me, like when you go to someone's, are you meeting with people in their home, apartments, or in Garden Ridge?
That's what we had in mind. Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, you know.
So have you actually gone to see somebody yet?
Well, no, we're still
still
doing
practicing?
yes. It's
Okay.
just, and we've started collecting baskets, and we're going to take treats. But we know that some people have very bad teeth, so we're not taking taffy or anything to
Well,
those
that's
people.
a good idea.
Yeah, we're just, if you have bad teeth, and we're going to check with our clients and see how their teeth are. and then if they can't have taffy, we're going to take hard things like peppermints or something.
Oh,
in
well,
our
you're really
basket.
thinking this through, aren't
Oh,
you?
absolutely. I think it's so exciting.
Yeah.
I wish that someone had come to see me when Al had to leave.
Yeah, it would have cheered you up.
It would have cheered me up, and
Yeah.
that's our goal right now, is to cheer up the shut-ins.
That's a noble goal.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah. So I think that we can figure out if the problem is just having a place to practice where you're not going to bother your neighbor, which is a good thing, not to bother your neighbor.
All right.
Then we can
And
do,
maybe we could then
do
visit
that.
her.
And then you could visit her. You could
good
give her
idea.
a little sample.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
I wonder how her teeth are.
Well, you would have to ask.
I would have to ask.
Yeah. But anyhow, so how's that sound? Does that sound like a plan?
It does. I
good.
always know when I come to see you, you're going to find a solution.
Well, I always know when you come to see me, you've got something wild going on. So, in a good way,
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a good thing to help other people.
And don't you forget that if you're feeling down in the dumps, you call me.
I will definitely do that. All right, till next time then.
I look forward to it.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, those were certainly interesting vignettes this morning, Kathleen. Let's talk a little bit about what we were seeing.
Okay, so starting with Jeff, I think we were seeing a man who felt like his life as he knew it was slipping away from him.
Yes.
So
He's not a happy camper.
He's not happy, and you can't blame him.
No.
Because we know that driving is a rite of passage and a big part of all of our lives as we move forward. And it is about movement. I think it feels like freedom and the ability to do what you want to do without asking anybody for anything. So those are all, I mean, as we have discussions about people who might be at a stage of their lives where driving is more of a risk for them.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about, really. You know, it's difficult to consider.
I have been through it, and I can certainly vouch for the fact that it is very difficult.
Right.
I think, at least in my case, I knew perfectly well that I was not safe.
Yeah.
And it was a matter of who am I going to run down, or am I going to quit?
Right.
And Jeff may be getting to that point. The two issues that Viva indicated he had failed, really, were certainly serious ones. Now, Kathleen, let me ask you this. The results, Sue Frankie was indicating that the results had gone over to the medical center. Would the physician call him in, or would it be that Jeff would need to contact the physician? How does that work?
It could be if the physician has themselves serious concerns and they get that report and they see that he's failed in those areas,
Yes.
then they very well might reach out and set up an appointment.
Call him in. Okay.
Have the medical center staff call and make an appointment.
But there definitely would be discussion then about the seriousness of it and what the next steps would be.
Right.
okay.
But giving him the chance to take charge of that next step is important too, because hopefully it'll give him a chance to think things through, and then if that's self-initiated, that's always better in a way, because it kind of lets us know that he's sort of on track for understanding what the problem is. But yeah, he's going to have to work through some of that anger and frustration that he's experiencing right now too.
All right. Well, we'll wait and see what happens with that situation, and then your discussion with Mrs. Blackwell, which I thought was very edifying.
Oh yeah. Well, I think being new to Green Spring can be daunting sometimes. It's a huge campus, and having given up I guess it's another. I always end up thinking that we have themes that develop that we don't even know are developing. New residents as well are taking on a new life, shaping their life in a different way after having had years of being in their own home and then moving into apartment living. I think that's a difficult challenge sometimes.
It is a difficult transition. There's no question about it. She seemed to be handling it rather well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But her getting lost and the dining room, I think, are just very common issues for newcomers.
Yeah, I think it must be. I mean, it's when you feel like you're in control of your life, and then you come into this environment which is so different. I think it must trigger all those like new school kinds of feelings. Just like, oh my goodness, I have to meet new friends.
That's a great analogy.
I have to figure out
a new school year.
Yeah, yeah. And the dining room, I really do feel like that has to trigger feelings from being a kid, because going into the school lunchroom and not knowing anybody, and there's cliques all over, and I mean, I think that's in us somewhere, no matter how old we are. So definitely being able to figure out how to navigate the dining experience and developing some friends to go with, so that you feel like you fit in seems like I think that's a really big part of starting to feel like you're settling in.
Yes, I think it does too. Now, you and Pansy had your usual very funny exchange.
Yeah, she's always got something going on.
Never predictable, is she?
Not at all, not at all. But always a good heart. So now she's going to be helping the shut-ins.
Yes.
Not really sure who those people are, but
right, right. And that's a phrase I don't think we've heard for 50 years.
No,
the shut-ins.
Yeah.
Yes, bringing her taffy to the shut-ins.
Right.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how successful that is, and whether or not her neighbor that is complaining about the noise, how that is resolved. And Kathleen, I think that brings up an issue that is actually a serious one, and that is how do social workers deal with this whole issue of noise?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a part of the bigger picture of how we get along in our community. Because we've talked about this before, that we're closer together. We're in apartments, so that means that noise becomes a bigger issue, I think, sometimes. So ideally, if neighbors can have conversations with one another when something's bothering them.
Is that what you recommend as a first step?
I do, because if you don't go in that direction, then it can pretty easily escalate into kind of a contentious kind of situation. If you're calling in the social worker or calling in security, then that kind of already gets you past the point where you could just have a friendly, neighborly conversation. So what we hope, which is not going to happen 100% of the time, or maybe not even 50% of the time, is that if there is a concern that the resident will, your neighbor will come to you and just let you know what the problem is, because a lot of times you might not even be aware.
I was just thinking that often the fact that some of your noise is disturbing somebody may come as a surprise.
Right, right. And again, if you're used to being in your own home where noise wasn't really a factor, or a certain smells weren't bothering anybody, then you aren't just going to be thinking that way. So if you can approach your neighbor and just say, you might not be aware, but this is happening, and then give people a chance to adjust, and make those changes. Then that would be the ideal. But if it doesn't work out that way, then sometimes getting the social worker involved to just facilitate that conversation between neighbors is another direction that we can
That
go.
would seem that would seem like a logical role, that you could bring both parties in and discuss it
and
sometimes.
try to negotiate and hopefully get everybody on the same page. But yeah, the noises are definitely things that it can get out of hand. So we really want to be able to stop that. And I can't imagine about having a baton hitting my floor
Or ceiling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that if they're throwing it up, it's on the other person's floor.
Well, or
But
if
then
they're banging it on the floor.
But then the tap dancing is getting on people's feelings.
Right.
So she's getting them in both ways.
Yes, absolutely. Her
So
poor neighbors.
Yeah, I'm surprised that she's not getting more calls, actually.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am too.
So,
Well, I think that's very helpful, and for sure noise is a major issue here sometimes.
Right,
But you're saying if you can possibly solve it by direct conversation, do it.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense. Kathleen, one thing we have failed to mention here today is the fact that in June, the second set of 4 of our programs are showing on Saturdays at 3 o'clock. That's programs 5 through 9, and that runs from October to February. So for folks who haven't seen them, they are showing. And on this 1-year anniversary of our show, we want to give a special shout out and thanks to the Channel 6 staff, Avan Price and Andrew Seegers, who actually produced this show. Diane Havinga not only came up with a name for this show, but in addition to that, she's been wonderful about showing this in addition to Village in Motion, showing it as a special every month, and then also doing the reruns of our old shows. So we do want to thank everybody at Channel 6. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next month.